Ladies and gentlemen, who did the Washington Commanders land with as their new head coach? How is the free agent pool going to be looking this offseason? Who got graced with the front cover of MLB The Show this year? Find out all that plus much more on another video of Wyatt Just Talks About Things. Do want to let you guys know that sometime this weekend I am going to be uploading a skit-a-thon. I think I have 4 or 5 of them that I haven't put on YouTube yet, so I hope you guys are excited for that. But before we hop right into today's video, we got a couple of plugs as always, so don't forget to use code WyattzWorld on G Fuel or Prize Picks, where you can save yourself a discount on any G Fuel products or match up to $100 of your first deposit. Another reminder, take advantage of the Patrick Mahomes free square on the Super Bowl. He needs 1 yard for that entry to win. But always play responsibly, and let's get into the video. Alright, so first piece of news is the new Washington Commanders head coach. They are landing with... Dan Quinn. That's who they went with out of anybody. Bill, Mike Vrabel? No, they want Dan Quinn. The team isn't gonna change, like it's stupid. Anyway, that does complete the head coaching vacancies for this offseason now though, and it's pretty interesting if we look at the entire lineup. This is a tweet I found just summarizing everything, but here are the head coaches in front of us. The Chargers got Jim Harbaugh. That's interesting. The Commanders got Dan Quinn. That's pretty boring. Falcons got Raheem Morris. I like the move, but I don't think a defensive mind is what those players really need. I mean, it is, but those offensive players, they need a coordinator. Panthers got Dave Canales. That one's kind of boring to me. Patriots got Jared Mayo, who I know was a player, but that's all I know about him. Raiders stuck with Antonio Pierce, which I think was the correct move. Seahawks got Mike McDonald from the Ravens. And that's big for both teams. Big good for Seattle, big bad for Baltimore. And then the Titans got Brian Callahan, which I actually think is the biggest snoozer of them all. Also, does anybody want to try and convince me that Brian Callahan and Joe Flacco aren't related? You can argue with the wall on that. Anyway, that is all the new head coaches coming into next season, and let me know in the comments what you guys think about them. All right, next up, we are going to be very quickly looking at a couple of the reasons going around that are flying around from multiple different sources as to why Bill Belichick didn't get a job. Okay, so like I said, it's pretty much the same info on every website. I think I'm on The Athletic here. But it's talking about how all 32 head coach positions in the NFL are now filled and none of them belong to Bill Belichick. But how did that happen? Well, according to The Athletic, it boils down to 3 key factors that were echoed by numerous league sources, meaning multiple teams. Number 1, Bill is believed to have botched the quarterback position with the New England Patriots after Tom Brady left, which he still hasn't let down. Basically saying that since Tom left, they weren't ever able to fill his shoes or even come close to it, which is absolutely true there. Mac Jones, Bailey Zapp, anybody they've thrown out there has been basically a turd. Second one, and this is one that I was talking about kind of recently, he wants to maintain total control over football operations, meaning he doesn't probably want to be a coordinator. He doesn't want to do anything other than be a head coach and be in charge of everything, just as he was in the New England Patriots organization. Draft picks, cuts, free agents, I mean everything. That's a big problem, especially to people who haven't had him for 20 plus years. And lastly, this one's kind of funny because this is something that I've always said about Bill and Pete Carroll and the older generation of coaches, but there is concern that they are not going to be able to relate with the current generation of football players, meaning they're out of touch, they're out of style. This isn't the same era that football was in the early 2000s. It's completely different. The earth is different. So those are the reasons going around as to why Bill is not being signed by anybody, and it's starting to sound like basically his reputation is that he's an outdated dickhead. I'd still give him a chance, but that's me. All right, next we will be taking a look at some of the hottest free agents in the upcoming offseason. Now, I want to tell you guys right now, this isn't going to be a prediction because that's going to be a whole other video of where people go. We're simply just scanning here to see who is going to be available. So starting with the quarterbacks, some names I see out here that I would be interested: Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill, Jacoby Brissett, Baker Mayfield, Gardner Minshew, Tyler Huntley, and then probably Mason Rudolph and Jake Browning too. Even if they're not starters, I would want them on my roster in my quarterback room. Now, running backs, this is a little bit of a different story. There is a lot of them. Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Saquon, Eckler, Gus Edwards, Devin Singletary, DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, Jerick McKinnon, Antonio Gibson, he's a good receiving back, Zach Moss. Damn, dude, the running backs are gonna go crazy. Now looking at receivers, this looks a little bit underwhelming. I mean, obviously highlighting everyone is Mike Evans, and then there's OBJ, but he's not what he was. Bengals could run into a problem because I see both Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins, Curtis Samuel, Calvin Ridley, Hollywood Brown, Michael Pittman, and just a bunch of guys I haven't heard about in 8 years. All right, let's look at defense as a whole. Leonard Williams, Chris Jones, Daniil Hunter, Buda Baker, Zadarius Smith, Stephon Gilmore, Micah Hyde, Chase Young, even though he was pretty terrible in his last game, Calais Campbell, Leonard Floyd, CJ Gardner Johnson, Josh Allen. Oh, this is a long list, dude. There's a lot of defensive players. Holy balls. There's actually a decent amount of kickers available too. Chase McLaughlin, Cameron Dicker, Fairbairn, Lutz, Zerline. Anyway, free agency might be actually kind of popping this year. Who do you want? All right, now super quick, I am just going to reveal who was on the front cover of MLB The Show 24. Actually a good drum roll that time because it is none other than the Toronto Blue Jays' Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Kind of poetic because I think his dad was on the first ever The Show cover too, but I love it. I think that's a great cover. He's one of the most electrifying and likable players in the game, and it's a hell of a lot better than last year when they put on Jazz Chisholm. What the fuck was that? That's like putting Michael Pittman on the front cover of Madden. Now, is he bad? No. Would it make sense? Fuck no. Another question probably in your guys' head, am I gonna get this game? Probably not. I don't care for The Show. I haven't bought the one since it had Tatis on it. I don't find it fun. It's just hitting and throwing over and 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 over, well, and over and over again. I get bored instantly is what I'm saying. But if it's free on Xbox, maybe I'll try it out for a video. However, anybody looking for a series, I am sorry, but absolutely not. All right, now we are going to be digging into a piece of news that is just too crazy for me to not really talk about, and that is none other than the former owner and chairman of WWE, Vince McMahon, and how he was allegedly sex trafficking employees within the WWE industry. Again, I do not watch the product. I don't even really like to talk about it because I'm so tired of people asking me about it, but this is something that is just, it's too bizarre, it's too out there that everyone's really talking about it. For those who didn't know, a couple years ago when Vince McMahon originally got accused of a bunch of really bad stuff, we didn't really get a lowdown as to what it was. We just heard it was sexual assault and he paid a bunch of women to not say anything, and then he stepped down and nothing really happened about it. However, now years later, information is resurfaced from the same employee who essentially said, and you can find this all over the internet, that not only did Vince, sexually assault her and rape her, but he would do that with other employees at the same time, and he would also order her to have sex with other employees within the industry, and also send videos and explicit images of herself to other people within the industry. Even, unfortunately, Brock Lesnar, when they were trying to re-sign him and they thought that was the way to incentivize him. I read into it, like, it's bad, it's graphic. It even goes as far as to say that Vince took a shit on her head at one point. Absolutely insane. It is so insane, but at the same time, if you were a watcher back in the early 2000s, when the Vince McMahon era was in full effect, knowing how cynical, how fucking gross he is, makes a lot of sense for the weird shit you would see on TV, especially the weird shit he would do on TV. Like, none of this is funny at all. Like, it's actually really, really messed up. But for those who are wondering about it, yeah, he's completely gone from the company. He has nothing to do with it anymore. WWE sold the TKO. He was on the board, but he's resigned from all of his duties. He literally has no say in anything anymore, and that is very much for the better. And ending this video, I usually have a top 5 list, but I don't today because I didn't plan on one. However, I do have a movie review for you guys of The Beekeeper. For anybody who doesn't know, this movie is in theaters right now. It's a short movie, about 90 minutes, and I would absolutely recommend it if you like action movies. I mean, my dad saw this in theaters twice. He liked it so much, so that should tell you something. But Jason Statham's the main actor. You know who Jason Statham is, you'll know what to expect. If you don't know who Jason Statham is, I imagine like John Wick or something. I mean, it's pretty similar. But I actually thought this movie, for as short as it was, thrown together as it was in 90 minutes, was actually a fantastic film. I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm not gonna give, things away that I shouldn't give away, but the premise of the movie is Jason Statham, he is a retired specialist who is looking after this woman on a bee farm. Someone ends up hacking this woman's bank account, steals all of her money, and Jason doesn't take too kindly to it. We'll just say that. Action-packed from front to finish. You aren't bored for a second in this movie, and I mean that so literally. You are never bored. And when you walk out, you're gonna be asking yourself why they didn't make it longer. I would say it's a solid 8.3 out of 10, and I definitely plan on owning it whenever it becomes physical. And that is gonna be it, ladies and gentlemen, for today's video of me just talking about everything. I hope you guys are continuing to enjoy these videos as well as my content. And if you guys are, you already know what to do to show support to this channel. Also, if you guys aren't subscribed yet, please hit that bell because I try my hardest to post every single weekday. However, with everything I said, I'm gonna get this edited so you guys can watch it on time. Have a great rest of your weekend, and as always, I will see you in the next video.